So, ang pag-uusapan po natin ngayon ay ang Book of Esther. Alamin po natin kung ano ang mga main issue dito sa libro na ito. At ang Book of Esther ay naisulat under the Time Past program. At syempre, ang sinulatan ay mga believing Jews, mga Israelites, at kung ano ang mensahe. So mayroon lang po tayong mga matutunan sa librong ito, pero hindi ibig sabihin na ang mga naisulat sa librong ito ay para sa atin. So yun po ang ating tandaan. Hindi lahat ng nakasulat sa Biblia ay para sa iyo. Meron pong mga sulat na para sa mga Israelites. Hindi ibig sabihin na ito ay nasa Biblia ay angkinin natin. Angkinin na ito din ay para sa atin. Ang mensahe ay para din sa atin. Ang Bible po natin ay actually may na-divide sa tatlong time. Time past, and then time but now, and then ages to come. At yung mga books din sa Bible ay na-divide into 3. So mga books under the time past, from Genesis to the book of John. And then yung first part ng Book of Acts, ang pinag-uusapan po dyan ay ang time past. And then yung mga books under the but now ay from Romans to Philemon. And then yung last part ng Book of Acts. And then mga books under ages to come, start naman from Hebrews to Revelation. So kung ma-identify nyo ang arrangement or yung mga books, kung alin ang mga books para sa but now, mga books under time past at ages to come, madali na lang po natin maunawaan ang Bible. So mayroong tinatawag na identification. So bakit ang mga books under the but now ay Romans to Philemon? Yes, dahil ito ay isinulat ng apostol na si Apostol Pablo, na siya yung apostol para sa mga Hintil. At siya ang piniling apostol para din sa bagong programa ng Panginoon, na ito nga ay programa tungkol sa biyaya or grace. The dispensation of grace. Si Apostol Pablo po ang dispenser or pinagkatiwalaan ng dispensation of grace. At siya ang apostol ng mga Hintil. So kung ikaw ay hindi kasama sa 12 tribo ng Israel, siguradong ikaw ay Hintil. At kung ikaw ay Hintil, ang apostol mo ay si Apostol Pablo. Hindi yung 12 apostol, dahil ang 12 apostol ay pinili para sa 12 tribo ng Israel. So may sinasabi dito sa Romans 11:13, sabi ni Apostol Pablo, "For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles." So sino po ang apostol ng mga Hintil? Si Apostol Pablo. Ilang libro ang kanyang isinulat? 13 books from Romans to Philemon. Ang 12 apostol ay pinili ng Panginoon para sa 12 tribo ng Israel. Dito po sa Mateo chapter 10, kung babasahin po natin, Mateo chapter 10, dito sa verse 1 hanggang 4, pinangalanan dito yung 12 apostol. And when he had called unto him the 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these: the first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip, and Bartholomew, Thomas, and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, and Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. At inutosan niya itong mga 12 apostol. Sabi niya dito sa verse 5, "These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So malinaw na yung 12 apostol ay para lamang sa mga Israel. Kaya pala ang Panginoon pumili ng isang apostol para sa mga Hintil na si Apostol Pablo. Kaya ang mga books na outside sa sinulat ni Apostol Pablo ay aaralin natin for learning purposes lamang. Anong sinasabi sa Romans chapter 15 verse 4? "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." Anong sabi ni Apostol Pablo? Yung mga naisulat noon or outside his writings, yan po'y isinulat for our learning. For learning purposes lamang po. Hindi natin pwedeng angkinin, i-claim na para din sa atin. Ito nga ang pinag-aaralan natin from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, at sunod-sunod na po yan. At ngayon, dito tayo sa Book of Esther, napapansin nyo po, more on Israelites ang pinag-uusapan. More on Israelites ang pinag-uusapan. So, kailan po pinag-uusapan ang mga Hintil na nasa programa ng Panginoon? Sa time po ng Batnaw. Sa time na na-convert si Saul na naging Pablo at naging apostol ng mga Hintil, doon lang po binabanggit ang pangalan ng mga Hintil bilang part sa programa ng ating Panginoon. Nung dumating ang ating Panginoon, ang pinaka-concern niya mga Israel. Kaya nung sinabi niya sa Matthew 15:24, anong sabi niya sa Matthew 15:24? Ang ministry niya sa Israel. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Nung nagministry ang Panginoon, nakafocus sa Israel. Nung pumili siya ng mga 12 apostol, focus lamang sa Israel. Nung nireject ng mga Israelites ang Panginoon at yung offer ng Panginoon, doon lang po na-stop ang kanilang programa temporary. At nung na-stop ang programa nila, nag-open ang Panginoon ng panibagong programa, ang Dispensation of Grace, at ito'y kanyang inirevealed kay Apostol Pablo. Na sa panahon ni Apostol Pablo, ang mga Israel at Gentiles pinagsama. May sinasabi dito sa Ephesians chapter 2, Ephesians chapter number 2, verse 14. Start tayo sa 13. But now, in Christ Jesus, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Christ. For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace. So under the But Now program, ang dalawang grupo, Israel at saka Hintil, ay pinagsama. Pero before the But Now program, Israel po ang pinag-uusapan. Sa Hebrews to Revelation, Israel pa rin ang pinag-uusapan. Kung alisin pala natin ang sulat ni Apostol Pablo, ang Biblia ay sa Israel lang lahat, without the writings of Apostle Paul. Kung subukan nating i-remove yung libro, yung 13 epistles na sinulat ni Apostol Pablo, ang books na maiwan, Genesis to the book of John, and then Hebrews to Revelation. Sa Israel na lahat. Nakuha yung point ko doon? Sa Israel na po lahat ang nakasulat doon without the writings of Apostle Paul. Kaya, kung bakit kailangan natin pag-aralin ang Biblia rightly divided, para po makita natin ang programa na para sa atin. Hindi pwedeng kahit saan-saan pumupunta sa Bible at angkinin kung may gusto. Kung may gustong verses na isulat para sa Israel dahil gusto mo, angkinin mo at i-claim. Ay hindi po ganoon. Kahit maganda yung verse pero hindi naman sulat, hindi naman naka-address sa church, the body of Christ, for learning pa rin. For learning. Dahil nga, hindi nga isinulat para sa'yo. Applying exegetical interpretation, contextual interpretation, hindi na po papasa or pumasa yung isang tao na sasabihin na isinulat sa libro ni Mateo ay angkinin sa panahon ngayon. Ay, hindi po pwede applying exegetical interpretation. Kaya nga, malaking maitutulong sa atin aralin ang Bible rightly divided. Kung ang sulat ay hindi para sa church, the body of Christ, yun po ay aralin po natin for learning. Ayon sa binasa natin sa Romans 15:4. At marami pong mga matutunan po tayo na ang daming mga sulat, katuruan, na dapat nating i-consider, dapat nating malaman. Yung sinasabi ni Apostol Pablo na sa Romans 6:14, for sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace. Ibig sabihin may division doon. May division na agad. Sabi niya, you are not under the law, but under grace. May division ba? Yes. Nang sinabi ni Jesus Christ sa Matthew 10, 5-6, sinabihan niya yung mga 12 apostol, go not into the way of the Gentiles, but go rather to the lordship of the house of Israel. May division ba? Yes. Kasi sinabihan niya ang mga 12 apostol, huwag kayong pumunta doon sa lugar ng mga hintel. Sa halip, ang pupuntahan nyo ay sa bayang Israel. May division. May division. At ang dami po sa Bible na kailangan natin ma-recognize para magiging safe po tayo. So, when it comes of salvation, ang ipinapangaral ay grace. Grace gospel. May division ba sa kingdom gospel? Yes. Mayroon pang sinasabi sa Galatians chapter 2, 7 to 8, the gospel of circumcision and the gospel of uncircumcision. May division ulit yon. Ay yung mga 12 apostol ay mangaral sila sa mga Israelites at ang kanilang ipapangaral ay ang gospel of the kingdom, at si Apostol Pablo naman mangaral doon sa mga hintel, kanyang ipinapangaral ang gospel of grace. May division. Nag-mention si Apostol Pablo ng heavenly kingdom, and then yung kingdom program nag-mention ng earthly kingdom. May division. Mayroong heavenly, mayroong earthly, may division. Bakit kailangan nating i-emphasize ang rightly dividing the word of truth? Para hindi po may paghahalo. Hindi po natin paghahaluin yung teaching na nasa Biblia, kahit ito'y salita ng Panginoon, pero kailangan po na maging maingat po tayo. Tandaan po natin ang magiging epekto po kung kahit saan-saan lang tayo kumukuha ng mga verses sa Bible, magkakaroon po ng problem sa eternity. Magkakaroon ng problema sa eternity kung saan ka pupunta. Anong eternity ang pinoproject mo? Na yung gospel na ang pinaniwalaan mong gospel ay naghahalo. Sa eternity ba pwedeng maghahalo ang earthly at heavenly? Hindi po. Kaya nga very specific kung ano yung gospel para sa earthly, yun po ang kailangang paniniwalaan. Kung ano yung gospel para sa heavenly, yun lang din po ang paniniwalaan. Papaano? Gusto ng tao pupunta sa langit, ang gospel pinaniniwalaan ay earthly. Pupunta kaya siya sa langit ayon sa kanyang projection? Hindi. Dahil ang gospel na pinaniniwalaan niya iba. Anong sabi ni Apostol Pablo? Kung may magturo sa inyo ng ibang gospel, ibang ebanghelyo, sa Galatians chapter 1, 8 to 9, let him be accursed. Hindi pwedeng maghalo ang gospel. Kung ano yung gospel na natanggap ni Apostol Pablo, yun yung gospel para sa panahon natin ngayon. Dapat bang pag-aralan ang Bible rightly divided? Yes. Katulad ng pag-aralan natin, yung Book of Esther. Hindi po pwedeng yung nilalaman ng librong ito ay angkinin natin na sa atin din, sa panahon natin ngayon. Sayang lang po yung panahon natin sa pag-aaral, sa pagtuturo, kung hindi naman maiayos yung ating pangangaral. Kaya, ang goal natin sa ating Bible School, aralin natin ang Bible rightly divided. Kung ano yung teaching para sa atin, yun po yung, doon po ang application natin. Kung yung books na inaaral natin ay hindi para sa atin, may mga lesson lang po tayong matutunan for learning. So, ang Book of Esther, ulitin ko po, ito ay patungkol din sa mga Jewish. At ito ay na-divide ng ilang section. May 2 section. First, the danger to the Jews in chapter 1, verse 1 to chapter 3, verse 15. And then in chapter 1, verses 1 to chapter 2, verse 23, the choice of Esther as queen in place of Vashti. And then in chapter 3, verses 1 to 15, the conspiracy of Haman against the Jews. And then second division, chapter 4, verses 1 to chapter 10, verse 3, the deliverance of the Jews. So yung first part, nakita nyo, the danger of the Jews. The second part of this book, the deliverance of the Jews. Chapter 4, verses 1 to chapter 5, verse 14, the decision of Esther for the Jews. Chapter 6, 1 to chapter 7, verse 10, the defeat of Haman. And chapter 8, verses 1 to 17, the decree of King Ahasuerus or Xerxes and Mordecai. In chapter 9, 1 to 19, the defeat over the enemies of the Jews. And chapter 9, verses 20 to 32, the days of the feast of Purim. And then chapter 10, 1 to 3, the declaration of Mordecai's fame and exaltation at court. So ito yung ng Book of Esther, kung nakikita niyo po dyan, sa chapters 1 and 2, ito naman ay regarding the king's banquet, honoring the kingdom, honoring the new queen. And then chapter 3, ito ay nakapokus lamang sa Haman's edict. So ito yung mga division sa part na ito ay actually it was described as hard times. Okay? Hard times. In chapter 4 to chapter 5, the queen's courage, urging of Mordecai, and approaching the king. And then, chapter 6 to chapter 7, it's regarding God's deliverance, Mordecai honored, and Haman hung. And then the last part of this book, from chapter 8 to chapter 10, chapter 8, ito po'y maganda dahil nakakaramdam po sila ng kasiyahan, Mordecai's edict, and then chapter 9, Jews rejoicing, enemies destroyed, and then feast established. And then chapter 10, Shalom. Ayan. So, in first part, the threat and trust, ito po yung circumstances na naranasan nila. And then the last part of the Book of Esther regarding the deliverance and praise of the Jewish people under the time of Easter. Anong ibig sabihin ng salitang Easter? Ang ibig sabihin nito sa yung Easter at yung content at yung pinaka-idea kung bakit napakahalaga na pag-aralan natin at ano ang matutunan natin, dahil ito po ay patungkol sa protection ng Panginoon sa mga Hudyo, sa mga Jews. Dito makikita natin, malalaman natin paano na protektahan ang mga Jewish under sa time ni Esther. So, when we talk about the author, the book gives no hint of who wrote it. But whoever it was knew the Persian culture well. The account has all the marks of a person who was there, for he described the events as an eyewitness. And he was probably a Jew. So hindi lang napangalanan, pero may mga suggestion si Ezra and Nehemiah. So yun ay mga suggestion na probably si Ezra or Nehemiah ang author ng Book of Esther. How about the date? The events of Esther occurred between the 6th and 7th chapters of Ezra, between the first return led by Zerubbabel and the second return led by Ezra. So, tandaan po natin yung bakit mayroong return, mayroong dalawang return na pinag-uusapan. Ganito kasi ang nangyari, ulitin ko po, na ang Judah ay na-captive sa Babylon, and then after 70 years sila po ay pinabalik. So mayroong first group. Ang first group doon sa pangunguna ni Zerubbabel, group of Jewish from the exile. So after the captivity, pinabalik sila, mayroong first group. At ang nangunguna doon si Zerubbabel. And then the second group return to their homeland ay sa pangunguna ni Ezra. At sa time ni Ezra, doon po nagkaroon ng rebuilding of the temple. And then yung third group na bumalik sa Jerusalem, sa pangunguna naman ni Nehemiah, at yung inirebuild ay ang walls of Jerusalem. Okay? So, Esther was written sometime between 470 and 465 during the latter years of Xerxes' reign. In chapter 10 to verse 3, or in the reign of his son Artaxerxes in 464 to 424 BC. So, ganun po ang naging scenario. So the title of the book takes its name from the chief character, whose Hebrew name Hadassah was changed to the Persian name Esther, which probably means star. So ang Hebrew name niya ay Hadassah, and then it was changed to the Persian name Esther, meaning star. How about the theme and purpose? Esther tells the story of a beautiful Jewish girl whom King Xerxes of Persia chose to be his queen. So when Haman plotted to murder all the Jews, ito si Haman, meron siyang plano kasi i-assassinate, i-massacre, patayin lahat ng Jews. Queen Esther's cousin Mordecai persuaded Esther to try to save her people. So ito po ang since na mayroong plano na i-massacre, patayin ang mga Jews. So mayroong request itong si Mordecai doon kay Esther na mailigtas sana itong mga Hudyo, risking her own life. So she appealed to the king and rescued the Jews. Ayan po yung purpose. Sinubukan ni Esther na kumbinsihin yung king para maligtas itong mga Jews, mga Jewish people, although the name of God does not appear in this book. Sa Book of Esther, hindi niyo mababasa yung God. Alam naman natin, yung senaryo ay pinagbabawal. Hindi pwede na banggitin yung pangalang God, kaya sa Book of Esther, walang na-mention. Dahil hindi pwede pinagbabawal na banggitin kung ano man maliban lamang sa king. Kung baga, ang king ang kanilang kinikilalang God. So hindi pwedeng magbanggit ng iba pa maliban lamang sa hari. Kaya itong sa Book of Esther walang na-mention na God. So ibig sabihin ito ay naisulat hindi outside sa Babylon. So doon ito naisulat that time. Kumbaga yung senaryo ay doon sa exile, doon sa exile, hindi yung sa labas. Kaya pinagbabawal na banggitin. Kaya dito sa Book of Esther ay purely talagang writings lang kung papaano na-rescue, na protektahan ang mga Israelites. So the theme and purpose of the book is to show God's providential care of His people in their trials and persecution. So ganun po yung project na idea doon. Kahit hindi nabanggit yung pangalang God, pero dito makita na ang Panginoon ay pinoprotektahan sila sa kabila ng persecution. How about the keyword? The keyword is Jews, which is repeated some 44 times. Dahil na-mention 44 times ang Jews, so ito po yung nagiging keyword sa Book of Esther. How about the key verses? Chapter 4, verse 14, "For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, and you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not attained royalty for such a time as this." In chapter 8, verse 17, "And in each and every province and in each and every city, wherever the king's commandments and his decree arrived, there was gladness and joy for the Jews, a feast and holiday. And many among the peoples of the land became Jews, for the dread of the Jews had fallen on them." And then key chapters, chapter 3, chapter 6 to 7, and chapter 8. So dito kasi sa chapter na ito, sa chapter 3, Haman's persuading Ahasuerus to decree to annihilate the Jews. And then pangalawa, the honoring of Mordecai and the hanging of Haman. And chapter 6, 7, the reversal of the decree that lead the deliverance of the Jews. Chapter 8, the Jews' defensive victory and the inauguration of the Feast of Purim in chapter 9. So yan po yung mga ikono-consider natin key chapters dito po sa Book of Esther. Key people, syempre si Esther, Haman, Mordecai, Xerxes, Ahasuerus, Hebrew form the name of the king of Persia. So paano natin makikita ang Panginoong Hesus dito sa Book of Esther? Esther provides a fitting picture of Christ in that she was willing to put herself in the place of death for her people's salvation, and also in that she acted as an advocate for them. Yan, parang itong si Esther ay willing siyang i-sacrifice in behalf doon sa mga Jewish. So, siya yung nag-try na mamagitan para maprotektahan, maligtas ang mga Hudyo. So in addition, we also see how God continued to providentially protect the Jews through whom He would give the Messiah. So the book of Esther tells a story of the deliverance of the Jewish people. So we're shown a Persian emperor, Ahasuerus. Okay, so yan po yung emperor during that time, and who makes momentous decisions for trivial reasons, and his wicked minister Haman. So si Xerxes or Ahasuerus, ang kanyang minister si Haman, na napakasama dahil gusto niyang annihilate, i-abolish ang mga Hudyo, and who takes advantage of the king's compliance to pursue a personal vendetta against the Jews by having a royal decree issued ordering their destruction. Kaya pala itong si Haman ay mayroon siyang masamang binabalak, at yan nga po ang gusto niyang mangyari. The threat is averted by two Jews, Esther and Mordecai. So their influence and intervention allow the Jews to turn the tables on their enemies and rout their attackers. This deliverance is commemorated by the inaugurations of the Jewish festival of Purim on the 14th and 15th of Adar. Kumbaga sa atin is middle ng February and middle ng March. So the book confronts that modern reader with important themes, the evils of genocide and racism. Kasi nga yun naman ang gusto ni Haman. Ni Haman na yung genocide, racism, lahat yung mga Hudyo mawala, ma-abolish, mabura, annihilation. Pero siya ba'y nagtagumpay? Hindi, dahil si Esther ay na-convince niya yung king, at ito'y hindi nangyari. Esther's character matures over the course of the narrative. As a girl, she is recruited for the king's harem because of her physical beauty. In chapter 4, but at a key moment in the book, she rises to the challenge to risk her life for the salvation of her people. So kung baga siya lang ang siya na lang ang pag-asa. Dahil kung wala itong si Esther, halimbawa hindi siya naging queen, ay na-abolish na lahat, na-annihilate na lahat yung mga Jews. That time, si Esther na lang ang pag-asa nila. At that point, she transforms her status as queen from a position of personal privilege to one of power and public responsibility. Nakita niyo po yung nagiging responsibility ni Esther that time. Siya na lang yung pag-asa para hindi matuloy na ma-annihilate, ma-abolish, mawala itong Jews, mga Jewish. At sa pamagitan ni Esther bilang queen, naligtas o hindi natuloy, nagbago yung scenario. Esther's uncle Mordecai appears first as an adoptive father whose solicitude for Esther leads him to the king's gate, where he foils a plot to assassinate the king. So when he learns of the edict against the Jews, he encouraged Esther to confront the king. So yun na lang So inadvisean itong si Esther doon kay sa uncle niya si Mordecai na yun na lang ang paraan. So the book ends with Mordecai as the king's chief minister. Ayan, so na-promote itong si Mordecai naging chief minister. So the book is a free composition, not a historical document. Its fictional character can be illustrated by many examples of literary motifs. So the use of extensive conversation to move the plot along the motive of concealment. Esther is a Jew related to Mordecai, but Haman does not know it, even as he comes to her banquet in chapter 7. So ang nakakaalam lang, si Mordecai lang na itong si Esther ay isang Jew, si Haman ay hindi. Kung alam nila, naku, kasama si Esther doon sa i-assassinate or annihilate, ang nakakaalam lang itong si Mordecai. So a whole series of banquets structured the work, 2 by the king, 1 by Vashti, 3 by Esther, and the joyful banqueting that ends the book. Further artificialities are clear in the way characters are paired. So Mordecai and Esther. And in the delays and the speed of the action, Esther delays the banquet in chapter 5 verses 3 to 8. But the tempo of chapters 5 to 6 is particularly fast. Mordecai passes from the threats of death in chapter 5 verses 9 to 14 to royal honors in chapter 6, 10 to verse 11. So within 24 hours, there are many exaggerations and even sarcastic implausibilities. In chapter 1 naman, okay, in chapter 1, 17, 18, and huge ironies in Haman in chapter 6, verse 6 and verse 10. So the work is a composite of reversals in chapter 9, verse 1, in the lives of individuals and communities. So one striking feature of the Hebrew version of the book of Esther is that no divine names or titles are employed here. God is not mentioned at all. So na alam naman natin yung senaryo, hindi talaga pwede na banggitin. Kasi nga, bawal kung nalaman nga nila si Esther na siya ay isang Diyos, baka kasama siya doon na papatayin. Kasi nga, itong si Haman, lahat ng mga Jewish, patayin lahat. Hindi niya alam na si Esther isang Jew na naging queen, at sa pamagitan ni Esther na convince yung king na i-rescue ang mga Jewish. Ulitin ko po, sa time na yan, sa time ni Esther, hindi pwedeng banggitin, sambahin ang God, kaya walang nabanggit na God doon sa Book of Esther. Pero yung protection nandoon. Okay? Yung protection ng Panginoon kahit hindi na-mention, pero yung protection ng Panginoon sa kanyang piniling bayan ay nandoon. This would not be unusual in a book whose subject matter or outlook was more secular, but Esther is a book in which the religious element is prominent. The Jews fast in order to be delivered from imminent peril, experience deliverance at the 11th hour, and commemorate their deliverance with an annual festival Moreover, there are indirect references to divine activity in chapter 4, verse 14. So the Greek addition to Easter have many explicit reference to God as well as explicit descriptions of the beliefs and emotional states of Easter and Mordecai. They also elaborate on the contents of the edicts from Ahasuerus as illustrations of Gentile attitudes toward Jews. While there are only a few contradictions between these Greek additions and the older Hebrew text, reading the book with these additions is a very different experience from reading the book without them. So the additions to Easter are an excellent example of a process that occurs throughout the Bible. Further reflections on the story become part of the story itself. Although the book of Easter was questioned by some early Christians, gini-question kasi nga kung pwede bang isama sa canonicity o alisin. So ito ay gini-question ng canon of scripture that time, itong book of Easter. Ang isang reason nga doon, wala doon yung pangalan ng Diyos, hindi na mention yung pangalan ng God. Kaya ito'y kini-question noon ng mga Bible scholars. This is one of the more exciting and curious books in the Bible. The story is set over 100 years after, tingnan niyo po ha, after Babylonian exile of the Israelites from their land. So kung baga itong 100 years after Babylonian exile, so while some Jews did return to Jerusalem, according to Ezra and Nehemiah, so many did not. May mga bumalik, mayroong naiwan. So ibig sabihin, itong si Esther, hindi siya kasama sa bumalik na mga Hudyo doon sa Jerusalem. Naiwan siya doon. Na kung saan, nung sa time ni Xerxes at itong si Haman na isang pinagkatiwalaan ng king ay nagkaroon ng decree na ganon, hinigpitan na nila at pinagbabawalan na nila lahat itong mga Jewish na sumamba o kahit anumang mga practices o mga rabbinical practices that time. Kaya itong si Haman ay nagdeklara na patayin lahat ang mga Jewish. Ay hindi niya alam na si Esther ay si Esther na naging queen doon ay Jewish. Kaya na-convince niya yung king, nagbago yung kaisipan ng king at naprotektahan ang mga Jews. Hindi natuloy na i-massacre, patayin ang mga Jewish. So, the book of Easter is about a Jewish community living in Susa. O, doon po nakatira itong mga Jewish sa Susa, the capital city of the ancient Persian Empire. The main characters are two Jews, Mordecai and his niece Esther. So silang dalawa nandun na siyempre hindi nalaman na itong si Mordecai at si Esther ay isang Jewish. And then there is the king of Persia and the Persian official Haman, the cunning villain. Esther is a curious book in the Bible because God is never mentioned, not once. This may strike you as odd because the Bible is supposed to be a book about God. Tama naman, kaya mayroong talagang kini-question, papaano ang nangyari itong Book of Esther naging part sa Bible na hindi nag-mention ng God. Kailangan nating may consider yung background scenario kung bakit. At least papaano makuha nyo yung background, anong reason kung bakit hindi na-mention yung God sa Book of Esther. This may strike you as odd because the Bible is supposed to be a book about God. However, this is a brilliant technique by the anonymous author. It's an invitation to read the story of looking for God's activity, and there are signs of it everywhere. So, not necessarily na ma-mention ang technicality applying syllogism, makikita natin agad yung work ng Panginoon. Hindi kailangan na i-mention yung pangalan doon pa lang sa work ay ma-appreciate or makikita mo na ang Panginoon ay nag-work sa kanila. Hindi lang na-mention. Kasi nga, hindi nga pwedeng i-mention dahil sa senaryo, dahil nga sa sitwasyon na hindi pwedeng banggitin. Yun yung decree. Yun yung order ng king. Kaya nga yung kung maalala during the time of King Darius, itong dahilan na si Daniel ay inihulog doon sa lion's den dahil nga bawal nga sumuway siya sa order ng king, kaya siya ay inihulog doon sa lion's den bilang kaparusahan. At ganun po yun, tuloy-tuloy na yan na decree. At ito nga ito si Esther, nung time na ang namumuno or king ay pinagbabawalan. Actually, start na rin kay King Darius King Darius, and then after King Darius, yung iba pang mga king, at isa na dito nga during the time of Esther, hindi pwede. Kaya yun yung isang reason. Pero yung work ng Panginoon ay nakikita. The activity, God's activity, signs ay makikita kahit saang lugar during that time. So the story is full of coincidence and ironic reversals that force you to see God's purpose at work behind every scene. Esther chapter 1 to chapter 2. So Esther becomes queen. Ito na ang story. The story begins when the king of Persia throws two elaborate banquet feast that last a total of 187 days. Matagal na fiesta, 187 days. All for the grandiose purpose of displaying his greatness and splendor. On the last day of the feast, the king is drunk and demands that his wife, Queen Vashti, appear at the party to show off her beauty. She refuses, and in drunken rage, the king deposes Vashti and makes a silly decree that all Persian men should be the master of their own homes. Yan po yung decree ayon sa king. Then the king holds a beauty pageant to find a new queen. So, ganun po yung ginawa ng king of Persia that time. And right when the story feels like a bad soap opera, we're introduced to Esther and Mordecai. So Esther hides her Jewish identity. So hindi nila alam na itong si Esther ay isang Jewish and poses as a Persian, and she wins the pageant. So the king is so obsessed with Esther that he elevates her as the new queen of Persia. Ganon po yung naging senaryo. Kung halimbawa hindi napili si Esther bilang queen, ubos na lahat yung mga Hudyo. Kasi nga, may decree, mayroong request na i-annihilate ang lahat ng mga Jewish that time. Kaya makikita mo dito yung purpose ng Panginoon through Esther. After this, Mordecai just happens to overhear two royal guards plotting to murder the king. So he informs Esther, who then tells the king, and Mordecai gets credit for saving the king's life. Mayroon palang nagbabalak na papatayin yung king. So ito po ang nagiging protection din sa hari. So sa pamagitan ni Mordecai, dahil narinig niya na mayroong nagbabalak na patayin yung king, at syempre ipinarating doon sa king at hindi natuloy. At in return, syempre naprotektahan din itong si Mordecai at yung iba pa. So, and in all these remarkable events, God is not mentioned, but it all seems so providentially ordered. Nakita niyo po yung scenario na ganun sana ang mangyayari, pero hindi natuloy yung kanilang pinaplano na ina-annihilate yung mga Jewish during that time. Kaya na-mention natin na si Esther ang nagiging pag-asa ng mga Jewish para sila hindi patayin or papatayin. Esther chapter 3 to chapter 6, Haman's plot and Mordecai's rise to power. So we begin to find out in the next part of the story. We're introduced to Haman, who's not a Persian but an Agagite, a descendant of the ancient Canaanites in 1 Samuel 15. Ito pa lang si Haman, hindi talaga siya taga-Persya. Siya ay part ng Canaanites or Canaan. So the king elevates Haman to the highest position in the kingdom and demands that all kneel before him. But when Mordecai says Haman, he refuses to kneel. Ayan. Ang tindi, no? Itong si Haman, mayroong mataas na position, pero ito po ang naging scenario na lahat ay lumuhod. Pero nakita naman ni Mordecai na itong si Haman pala, hindi na niya tinuloy. Haman is filled with rage. When Haman finds out that Mordecai is Jewish, ito na ito yung ni Haman, nung nalaman niya na si Mordecai isang Hudyo, he successfully persuades the king to enact a decree to destroy all the Jews. Ganun po yung nagiging basihan ni Haman. Nalaman niya na Hudyo pala itong si Mordecai. Yun po ang nagiging basihan na niya na i-destroy lahat ng mga Hudyo. They decide the date of this horrific day in an outrageous way. Haman rules ancient dice, or poor in Hebrew, and the decree is set 11 months later on the 13th of Adar. All the Jews will be executed. According to Haman, mayroon ng date nung 13th of Adar, month of Adar, or 11 months, or 11 months later, 13th of Adar yan, ay lahat ng mga Hudyo ay ma-execute. Haman and the king threw a party to celebrate the decree. Nakita niyo ang Haman and then yung king threw a party to celebrate the decree. After this, the story focuses on Mordecai and Esther, who are now the only hope. O, di ba? Ito. Who are now the only hope for the Jewish people. Kasi may posisyon niya, Mordecai and Esther. Si Esther naging queen, si Mordecai ay may posisyon na rin. Ang nalaman lang ni Haman na si Mordecai Jewish, si Esther hindi. Ito po, sila yung nagiging pag-asa para hindi papatayin ang mga Jewish. They plan for Esther to reveal her Jewish identity to the king and ask that he reverse the decree in chapter 4. Ayan po ha. Ask that he reverse the decree. I-reverse, ibig sabihin hindi na yung mga Jewish, but there's risk involved because approaching the king without a royal request was an act worthy of death according to Persian law. Talagang very risky ang ginawa ni Esther sa time na ito dahil mayroon pong proseso. Mayroon pong process according to the Persian law. Mapanganib yung buhay ni Esther sa puntong ito doon sa kanyang request. At a crucial moment in the story, Mordecai asserts that if Esther remains silent, deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. Then he wonders aloud, who knows, maybe you become queen for this very moment. Esther responds with bravery, if I perish, I perish. And she decides to approach the king. So hindi siya nagdadalawang isip kasi mapanganib na lahat ng mga Jewish papatayin, i-assassinate or annihilate lahat. At ito na yung nagiging respond ni Esther. Kung papatayin siya dahil doon sa kanyang sinabi, nakahanda na po siya. Okay? Handa na po siya. Kung ano ang gagawin ng king, kung anong decision ng king sa kanyang request. Kung granted yung request niya o hindi. Pero malakas ang kanyang loob niya at sinabi niya sa king yung plano. So we then see an ironic reversal of all of Haman's evil plans. Esther hosts the king and Haman at a banquet where she makes a special request that they both come to an even more exclusive banquet the next day. Haman leaves the feast quiet, drunk, and happy with himself, and he sees Mordecai in the street. When Mordecai doesn't bow, Haman fumes with anger and orders that a tall snake be built so that Mordecai can be impaled upon it in the morning. It seems things can't get any worse for the Jews or for Mordecai. But all of a sudden, the story pivots. In chapter 6, ano pong nangyari? That night, the king can't sleep, so he has the royal chronicles read to him. He just happens to hear about how Mordecai saved the king's life from the plot of the guards. The king had totally forgotten about it. So in the morning, ito na po, in the morning, as Haman enters to request Mordecai's execution, the king orders Haman to honor Mordecai publicly for saving his life. Nakita niyo po yung na-reverse? 'Di ba? Si Mordecai sana yung parurusahan dahil hindi nirespetong ito si Haman, pero ang nangyari dito, nakita niyo po, ang sabi ng king, ang order ng king na i-honor niyo si Mordecai dahil iniligtas niya ang buhay ko. Haman then has to lead Mordecai about the city on a royal horse. So, doon nakikita natin yung scenario na nagiging ang king ay may trust, may paniniwala na kay Mordecai sa time na ito, instead na si Haman yung kanyang talagang pinaniniwalaan, pero sa puntong ito ay na-reverse. Unti-unting na-reverse. This reversal forms a turning point in the story, beginning with Haman's downfall and ending with Mordecai's rise to power. So na-reverse yung posisyon ni Haman ay unti-unting nawala. At unti-unti namang nakilala itong si Mordecai. Sa Easter 7-8, Haman's demise and the Jewish people's deliverance, the next day Esther hosts the second banquet in chapter 7. So the king and Haman arrive, and Esther informs the king of her Jewish identity. Then she reveals that Haman's decree is a ploy to murder her and Mordecai, so the man who saved the king's life. So talagang gusto ni Haman na patayin yung itong si Mordecai, at syempre itong king ay may tiwala na. So kahit alam na ng king na si Mordecai, si Esther ay isang Jewish, hindi na siya nagagalit. Hindi na siya na-convince doon sa sinabi ni Haman na i-annihilate ang mga Jewish. Kasi nga, naalala ng king na siya ay niligtas nila, na mayroong nagbabalak na papatayin yung king. Kahit nalaman ng king na si Esther, Mordecai ay Jewish, hindi na mababago yung kanyang decision. Dahil nga, naalala niya na siya'y iniligtas ni Mordecai at kay Esther. After taking in a lot of wine and Easter's news, the king goes into a drunken rage. So he orders that Haman be impaled on the stake he made for Mordecai. Instead si Mordecai yung mapaparusahan, pero dito po sino ang napaparusahan? Si Haman. It's an ironic and grisly way to go. Naging reverse. But Haman's execution doesn't solve the problem of the decree to kill all the Jews. Hindi pa pala solve. Kahit itong si Haman sa na-execute, hindi pa solve ang problem to kill all the Jews. So, the focus turns back to Mordecai and Esther as they plan to reverse the decree. Hindi pa pala tapos. Kahit na-execute na si Haman, pero yung decree na patayin yung mga Hudyos, andun pa rin. So when they discover that the king can't revoke a decree he's already made, Mordecai is commissioned to issue a counter decree. Kasi mayroon na kasing decree na patayin lahat ng mga Jewish. So ito ngayon ang naging senaryo. Hindi na ma-revoke ng king kung ano yung decree. So here, Mordecai is commissioned to issue a counter decree. So i-counter yon para hindi na matuloy ang pag-annihilate ng mga Jewish. So on the day when all the Jewish people were to be killed, the people can now defend themselves and destroy any who plotted to kill them. After this, Mordecai, Esther, and Jewish people everywhere hold banquets and feasts to celebrate the new decree. Ayan po. So, yun ang nagiging nangyari. Nagkaroon ng freedom. Yan. So, most surprising of all, Mordecai is elevated to a seat beside the king. So, hindi na si Haman. Sino na yung pangalawa? Si Mordecai. Yung mga Jewish, malaya na sila. Okay? Mayroon na silang freedom. At hindi na sila yung decree, wala nang bisa yung decree, papatayin ang mga Israelites, hindi na wala nang bisa kasi mayroong ng counter decree. At ito na yung new decree. At sa bagong decree na ito, ano ang nagiging epekto kay Mordecai? Siya ay na-elevate bilang pangalawa doon sa hari. In chapter 9 to 10, the Jewish people triumph. Diba more on kagalakan na lang ang pag-uusapan dito sa chapter 9 to 10. The Jewish triumph or Jewish people triumph. Eventually, the decree day comes and the Jews triumph over their enemies. First, they destroy Haman's family, along with any other Persian officials who had joined Haman's plot. So lahat yan. Yung mga supporters ni Haman, his family, and yung mga officials na kasama niya, lahat yan ay in-assassinate or pinatay. The next day, the Jewish people are allowed to destroy anyone who plotted against them. So mayroon ng kung baga sila yung nasa power na. Sila yung mayroon ng power. This is followed by great joy, celebration because the Jewish people have been rescued from annihilation. Yun sana ang mangyayari sa kanila pero na-reverse. Ito ba'y work din ng Panginoon sa kanila? Yes. Yun ay work ng Panginoon na itong mga Jewish ay ma-rescued, maligtas doon sa annihilation. The story then tells how Esther and Mordecai established another decree. This great reversal and rescue will be memorialized by an annual 2-day feast called Purim. Yan. Kumbaga, yan, sineselebrate na nila yon. Named after Haman's faithful dies. So the book concludes with a short epilogue. Mordecai is elevated to second in command in the kingdom, and we're told of his royal greatness and splendor as the Jews thrived in exile. Why is Esther so important? Esther is the only book in the Bible not to mention the name of God, but that is not to say that God was absent. Hindi ibig sabihin, wala ang Panginoon. His presence permeates much of the story as though he were behind the scene, coordinating coincidence and circumstances to make his will happen. Ang Panginoon pa rin ang nasa likod ng mga pangyayari para matupad pa rin ang kanyang kagustuhan. Much like the book of Ruth, this book stands as one of the most skillfully written biblical books, using 8 feasts to systematically build and resolve suspense. The author constructed the story chiastically using a Hebrew literary device in which events mirror each other inversely. So early listeners to the story would have recognized significant events and followed their rising tension with understanding. Haman, the king's evil second in command, was a descendant of Agag, king of the Amalekites, who were ancient enemies of God's people. Ay kaya pala, gusto niyang i-annihilate ang God's people dahil yun ang history, yan talaga ang motibo ng mga Amalekites. According to Numbers 24 verse 7 and 1 Samuel 15 verse 8. So in Esther 3:7-9, he cast the lot called Pur in order to determine the day that the Jews would be exterminated. So the feast of Purim is still celebrated by Jews today. Commemorates the Jews' deliverance from Haman's plot in chapter 9:24-32. Kaya pala mayroong tinatawag na Purim, Feast of Purim. Doon po yon ang history dyan, yung the deliverance from the Jews' deliverance from Haman's plot. Kaya ito'y sineselebrate nila Feast of Purim. Ayan. At least maalala nyo, pag mayroong Feast of Purim, maalala nyo agad yung pag-rescue ng mga Jewish people sa time ni Easter. Na instead na sila'y papatayin, pero through Easter, nung siya'y naging queen, sa pamagitan niya, ginamit ng Panginoon na instrument para sila'y hindi papatayin, sila'y maligtas. Ito'y tinatawag na Purim. So, ganun po. Kaya yung Feast of Purim ay huwag niyong kalimutan. Ito yung pag-rescue ng mga Hudyo from Haman's plot. Kasi ang decree, papatayin lahat ng mga Hudyo doon sa time na yon, sa time ni Easter, yun talaga ang decree. And it was signed by the king, the Persian king. At hindi na po pwedeng mababago yon. Yun na sana ang mangyayari. Pero sa pamagitan ni Easter at Mordecai, na-reverse yung plano. Instead na si Haman yung second in command, na-reverse, nagiging si Mordecai ang pangalawa sa hari. At instead na si Mordecai at yung mga Hudyo ang parurusahan, hindi na si Haman at yung kanyang pamilya at yung mga kanyang followers ang naparusahan. So, na-reverse. At since na ang mga Hudyo ay naligtas, ito ay isineselebrate nila na ang tawag ay Feast of Purim. Okay? Kasi nami-mention palagi yan sa Old Testament, yung Feast of Purim. What's the big idea? Well, the primary purpose of the book of Easter was to relate the dramatic origins of the Feast of Purim. A greater theme shines through the story. The sovereignty and faithfulness of God permeate its scene. Nothing is truly coincidental. The book of Easter says to us, God's sovereignty is best summarized in Mordecai's exhortation to Easter. So, and in Easter 4:14, and who knows whether you have not attained royalty for such a time as this. So when events seemed out of control to Esther and Mordecai, when the king dictated ruin for their people, when evil was poised to triumph, God was at work. He worked through their dark days. Esther was taken to the harem in chapter 2, verses 1 to 16. Their faithful obedience, Esther risked her life before the king in chapter 5, verses 1 to 3. And their victories in Esther revealed Haman's plot and the Jews' destruction of their enemies, verses 7 to 9. This message is clear. God is sovereign even when life doesn't make sense. God is also the great promise keeper. Mordecai said to Esther, if you remain silent at this time, according to Esther 4:14, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, and you and your father's house will perish. Mordecai's words reflected his faith that God would honor his eternal covenant with Abraham and David. The book of Esther tells a story of the deliverance of the Jewish people, where shown Persian Emperor Ahasuerus, who makes momentous decisions for trivial reasons, and his wicked minister, Haman, who takes advantage of the king's compliance to pursue a personal vendetta against the Jews by having a royal decree issued ordering their destruction. So the threat is averted by two Jews, Esther and Mordecai. Their influence and intervention allowed the Jews to turn the tables on their enemies and rout their attackers. Kaya, katulad ng binanggit natin na reverse, yung nangyari, hindi natuloy kahit yung decree ay i-annihilate lahat ng mga Jews, hindi po nangyari, ito'y na-reverse. Ang mga Israelites nagkaroon sila ng freedom during the time of Easter. Nung naparusahan yung mayroong motibo na i-annihilate lahat ng mga Jewish. At yun nga si Haman. Esther's character matures over the course of the narrative. So as a girl, she is recruited for the king's harem because of her physical beauty. So yun po yung scenario doon. At later on, itong si Esther ay, ano pong nangyari? Siya ay napili ng king, ng Persian king bilang queen. Yan, bilang queen sa Persia. So, the book was probably written in the 3rd or 2nd century. BC. It has come down to us in two versions, an older Hebrew version and a Greek version based on a text similar to the Hebrew but with addition and alterations as described below. One striking feature of the Hebrew version of the book of Esther is that no divine names or titles are employed here. God is not mentioned at all. So sa book of Esther, wala kayong ma-mention, walang mabasa na mention na God, dahil tandaan po natin ang context kasi ay that time hindi pwede na banggitin o tatawagin ang God maliban lamang doon sa king. Yun yung decree at hindi na mababago yun at yan ang reason kung bakit wala doon. Pero yung work ng Panginoon ay obviously nakikita doon. Yung provision, protection ng Panginoon ay obviously makikita doon sa Book of Esther. Yan, kung babasahin nyo. Okay, so hanggang dito na lang ang ating presentation regarding sa Book of Esther.